moving on to inspiration then, who or what have been your biggest sources of inspiration in life?
Oh, it's a big question, this one, isn't it? And I have to say, it's probably my family. So, my mum, who I'm sure, like a lot of people, you can have challenging relationships with your parents because they're big influences, and when you're trying to be independent and they have a strong view, that can be challenging. But my mum, and she'll say she never had a career, but actually from when we were young she set up a business in property and they had nothing when we were growing up, and worked slowly to build that up, and has built a great business. But she can't see it because she's not been in, with the way in a more classic job you've got like an annual appraisal or something, and someone tells you, well done, you've done a good job, and if you're lucky you might get a bonus or a pay rise. I think that's one of the hardest things when you run your own business. There isn't always someone to say you're doing a great job or you're not doing a great job, which is actually why having connections, being part of networking groups is really, really good, because you can bounce off other people. But she's been an inspiration because she has always been very driven, and I guess again, the people that you're surrounded by shape what you think is possible. So I guess it's not that surprising that it didn't seem beyond the possibility for me to set my own business up as well. But the other person also in the family is my daughter, because I think young people, I think it can be a challenging world for young people, but in her case, she developed, when she was very young, developmental hip dysplasia. So she had to have a really big operation when she was young, and she too young to even know that. But latterly she's had to have a few more operations, and she's old enough now to know that's coming. And as it ramped up to that, she got to a level of quite a lot of pain, and she never really complains about anything. And she went in, had the big operation, came out, and just kept moving forward. And she actually won a prize at school for that, that determination that she's got. And I guess she inspires me because I want to be a good role model for her and for my children. So they're really an inspiration for me.
And it sounds like your positivity probably has inspired her to have that mindset when she's had to deal with that challenge.
I definitely think that the fact that, in a given situation, my language won't be, this is a disaster that you've got to go into hospital and have an operation. Again, I will always recognise, I understand you might be feeling a little bit apprehensive or fearful, and I won't negate the emotions that, the second time going in to hospital, of course, she knew exactly what was going to happen. But at the same time, trying to maintain what are going to be the positives once you've got through this. How is it going to help you now to return to sport more normally and not be in pain? Helps them and her have a positive attitude towards what's happening. And I do think it rubs off, because sometimes the kids, you taste your own medicine, they'll go, I can't believe you just said that, Mum. That's not a very positive attitude, is it? So you can't even have a negative mindset in your own house, because they're feeding it back to you.
I get that. That's not very Buddhist. That's what I get if I get angry at something, because that's part of my comedy, is that I'm the angriest Buddhist in the world. So that I just hear that in the back of the car when I've called someone an expletive, and I go, that's not very Buddhist.
Yes.
So, but did they ever go, oh, can you just stop coaching me from it? Like, did they ever rail against you being in coaching mode with them, or is it more seamless than that?
They probably don't. I probably aren't. I'm not in coaching mode, because it is really hard to coach your family. Or maybe it's so subtle they don't know I'm doing it. They wouldn't maybe. I say they wouldn't know, but my son, the middle one, we were travelling to school one day, and I think he'd missed the bus or something, and I said, I'll take you, because he said, how am I going to get to school now? And halfway to school he says, do you know what, Mum? I really do notice a difference in you. A few years ago, before you did coaching, I think you would have been really angry with me the whole way to school, and you're not. You've definitely changed since you've done coaching. So there are moments where someone around you recognizes the difference it's made in you. Yeah, and you're sort of like, I feel a little bit cheated that you're not angry with me.
Yeah. Can you shout at me a bit for this, please? It doesn't seem right that you're so calm. Yeah.
So I think it has had an impact for me, and it does have an impact for those around me, and they are noticing it, because that's when they feed back to you the differences they see. They've obviously taken it on board.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue then to ask you how you'd like to inspire other people.
I think so. All the things that we've talked about today. So doing things that are brave. So going out of your comfort zone and trying something new and different that you think you want to do, or people that you want to be with, or places you want to go. By being that role model and doing it, setting up your own business. The small things like, even today is something new for me. I've never done a podcast. The first time I ever did my own, videos and posted them live onto Facebook, or did my first webinar. I did a webinar some years ago for the Institute of Leadership and Management. Well, I'd never done that, and I knew that on this call was going to be hundreds of people who were leaders and managers. Now, I was one, but I'm now talking not about the subject that I had 24 years in, something else, and being completely open to questions at the end. You don't know what the questions are going to be. So, but I do it because by doing it, one, I show myself that I can do it, but also you demonstrate and hopefully inspire others of what's possible. And I think all the work that I do today and this passion that I have for education is not just inspiration, but it's also the sharing of the knowledge. So a lot of clients have said to me, and that's how I came to do more in education, I wish I knew this when I was younger. And so I thought, wait a minute, I can share what I've just spent 6 years learning lots about and upskilling. There's elements of it I can share so as people can benefit from that themselves. And that's what really led me into doing more in education, and that's who I'm really inspired to help, because the young people are the ones coming through who are going to build our future and hopefully maintain or make the world a better place. And similarly, the health sector I'm quite passionate about, because they're the people that if we're sick are going to help us be better. And both those sectors, research shows this, are the fastest ones burning out. So the highest stress is actually in the legal system, healthcare and education. So I'm inspired to help those sectors to move out of some of that burnout and stress to a better place, so as they can help us be at our best.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think we're missing a trick by not teaching our young people these things. We're churning out. I'm quite against the education system, just because, with my daughter's additional needs, it just doesn't work for her. But she's brilliant, she's creative, she's brilliant, and it just doesn't fit her. And I was having this exact conversation. I said, I'm trying to give you the tools so you don't have to live with the pain that I lived with when I was a teenager, because, when you're dealing with childhood trauma and things like that, you don't want to, you want to try and avoid that. And I think we've got the chance now to stop that generational trauma and do things differently, haven't we? And it's just so short-sighted not to do that in schools.
Yeah. The world is a more complex, faster moving place for lots of reasons, including technology has meant that it's going quicker, and we haven't changed our education system in forever. And there's so many other things that we could and should be upskilling our children with to help them to go out in the world, to also use all the other knowledge that they end up learning in school that actually sometimes they can't apply because they almost haven't learned life skills about connecting and socializing with others, because of course technology's meaning that sometimes socially people are closing down rather than opening up. And you know, 2 people or 3 people together can always achieve more than one. So having the skills to be able to understand others, work with others, appreciate others' diversity, strengths, and abilities is key. But we don't help children learn how to do that. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do. So one of the programs I've written is called Empowered Youth.
Great. I'm glad someone's leading the charge.
Ta-da!